All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai Bashim Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who rule well, and also honor and salutations to those of you who are of the hopeful elect and are out there teaching the word of sincerity and truth. All right, so not exactly sure what direction I'm gonna go with this. Excuse me, I had a thought, and I said that I was gonna do a show on it. So um. I was thinking about I mean I've done the show before, I know I have, but it's something that I was gonna say I struggle with, which I do, but I think it's something that we all struggle with, and that is, you know succumbing to, your flesh. And I don't mean like, nothing wicked or anything like that, like, messing around with somebody else's wife or something like that, but um we know that in this time, uh, that Yahweh Shai is not with us, that it is important for us to fast. And I'm learning, you know, how a couple of things. One, how beneficial fasting is, not just physically, right, but spiritually, how significant fasting is and can be. And the second thing is that, there's a weird relationship between uh, your flesh and your spirit. Matter of fact, let me go here. This is Matthew 26:41. Watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. Right. So there's this weird dynamic that goes on between the flesh and the spirit. And what I'm realizing is, the more you neglect the flesh, the more your spirit grows, right? Matter of fact, since I said that, this is 2 Corinthians 4:16. It says, "For which cause we faint not." Actually, let me go up in here. Okay, I'll start at 16. For which cause we faint not, but though our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day, right? So the more you neglect your flesh, right, the more your spirit has space to grow, right? It's like they go hand in hand. Like it's not. I'm not saying that it can't be done, right? Because there's a lot of how do I say this? Um, a lot of pollution, as it says in Micah 2:10. Matter of fact, let me go to that. Uh, this is Micah 2:10. It says, "Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you, even with the sword of destruction." Right. So with there being this massive amount of pollution, you become inundated with it, right? And it's coming at you from every angle. So it becomes difficult to, you know, neglect the things of your flesh. Like for me personally, and this is why I'm talking about this, is being able to maintain a fast. right? It's a difficult thing to do, right? And I feel like when you're eating a lot of food, your mind isn't clear, right? I find myself going, damn, man, what is that? What is that? What is that? And I close my eyes real tight. I'm looking up in the sky and I'm popping my finger trying to figure out what something is, and I draw a blank, you know. And and it's funny because I know that the food is not good, and eating as little of it as possible um, is what I need to do. But I can't stop doing it. I can't stop eating. It's a weird addiction. And this is why I'm always reluctant to talk about people who are on drugs. Like people say, "Oh, you're a crackhead or base head or meth head or whatever they want to call you, whatever that person's drug of choice is." I'm reluctant to um, join in on the conversation because I'm an addict, and I think if we were honest with ourselves, we would all be able to find something that is a vice of ours that is difficult for us to get rid of. Even Paul said it, right? Matter of fact, I think that's Romans. Is it Romans 7 or First Corinthians 7? Uh, that I would do, I do not. Let's see if that works. Romans 7. Yeah. Okay. Let me read this. I'm gonna go up a little bit. Right. Death unto me. Okay, I'll start at 13. This is Romans 7 and 13. It says, "Was then that which is good made death unto me? God forbid. But sin, that it might appear sin, working death in me by that which is good, that sin by the commandment might become exceeding sinful. For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin. For that which I do I allow not, for what I would, that do I not, but what I hate, that I do." Right? So Paul had this same struggle, man. We all have a vice that, there's something that you can't stop doing, or there's something that you can't get rid of, you know? And it's difficult. It's a difficult battle, and that's the challenge, right? That's the challenge of this truth, is not how much you can rebuke somebody else, right? Because that's easy. Rebuking someone else is easy because we have the standard written for us. We know what a man of the Lord is supposed to do. We know how a man of the Lord is supposed to carry himself, right? So rebuking somebody else is easy, right? But rebuking yourself is hard, man. Telling yourself no is hard. And there's been times in my life where I've been on a good, like a good uh I get in this good groove, right? And then you one day you might, all right, one extra bag of chips ain't gonna hurt, and then one extra bag turns into two extra bags and three extra bags, and next thing you know you're back to doing what you were doing before, right? And then it's once you stop completely, it takes so much more energy to start back up again, man. It's hard, man. It's hard, but the benefits that come from fasting, both physically and spiritually and mentally, are make it a necessity, man. And I understand why the Lord Yahushua recommended that, and he said that that's what we would need to do while he wasn't here. We would have to learn that, because when he was here, we had that external discipline, right? Because he was there to keep us in check while he was here, right? But now that he's, in the on the right hand side of the Father, we got to learn how to keep ourselves in check. And the reason behind that is, right, because we can easily say, like, oh, your brothers are supposed to rebuke you and whatnot, right? But you can lie to your brother. You could put on a front for another man, right? So it has to come from you. That rebuke, that self rebuke has to be there, because you can't lie to yourself, man. You can't lie to yourself. You know exactly what you can and can't do, and you have to find those shortcomings, and you gotta attack them, man. And you gotta attack them, man. And it's hard to do when you're inundated. I keep saying that word, but when you're like when there's massive amounts of poison in your body from eating these foods, man. Fasting is good for you, man. It's good for you, and I want to get a hold on. Look, I'm sitting here parked in front of this damn McDonald's, and you got they walking out of here with a big ass milkshake. She and look how fat she is, man. And the foods that we eat and the dietary habits that we've picked up here in America are the cause of our turmoil, man. Or let me not say the cause of it, but definitely a big part of it. And I was watching this video of this young lady who fasts um, for health benefits, and she said something. Her brother had asked her what benefits did she get from fasting other than obviously losing weight and getting in shape. And she said, "I'm a lot nicer. I'm a nicer person." And I was floored. She was like, when I was, big, I was mean. I was always angry, and I could feel that, man. Sometimes I come home, man, and my patience with my children is short, and I hate that I do that, man. I try to be as patient with them as possible. But like when that with like I said, with this poison that's in your body, it's hard to do, because if you have poison in your body, what can come out, right? What's the old saying? What goes out, what goes in must come out, right? So if all you're putting in you is poison, that's what's gonna come out, man. We have to learn how to neglect the flesh, whatever it is, if you need to fast from, I don't know, watching too many, goofy YouTube videos, right? If you need to fast from food, in my case, right? If you need to fast from, you know, sitting on the couch, right? Whatever your vice is, you have to fast from those things so that you can build up the mental fortitude that it takes to continue to grow your spirit, man. Your spirit can't grow unless there's room for it, right? And I think that's it's something I'm struggling with. Um, and I can feel it, man. I said this, and I'm saying this reluctantly, but you know, I want to be, I, if with the reverence that you get, right, and like I haven't been in the truth for 30 or 40 years or anything like that, but I've been in it long enough where people hold me with a certain level of reverence, and the elder Adama as well, and I wanna deserve it. I shouldn't be ashamed of, you know, reverence, you know. I mean, or maybe that shame, stays there. I don't know. And I always ask myself, well, what would you do? Like, what do you, because there's a fine line between, you know, not being ashamed and being arrogant, So what do you do? Are you gonna be an arrogant asshole if you do everything you're supposed to do? Like, what's the alternative, But that's how I think about it, man. I want to deserve the reverence, And I hope I have earned, that reverence, But I want to feel like I deserve it, and that's something that nobody else can do for you. I was listening to this video of Will Smith. He was talking, and he said, no one is responsible for making you happy. And I say the same thing in this regard, which is, no one is responsible for making you feel good about yourself, right? Or making you feel like you deserve it, because you know what you are and are not doing. You know what you can and cannot do. And if you're not working on the things that you cannot do, then what are you doing? Well, what are you doing really? So that's it, man. Like I said, I didn't know what direction I was going, and I didn't have anything written down, but I feel like it's not a bad place to stop. But I'll say this again, that neglecting your flesh is an important thing, man. Whether it be women, food, or whatever it is that you feel like you're doing in excess, you have to neglect your fleshly desire for that thing so that your spirit can grow. All right. So with that being said, hopefully it was edifying. I want to give all praises to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai Bashim Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who rule well. Honor and salutation to the hopeful elect. With that, I say shalom.